talk about something I've already reviewed. Cleo, come on. Good grief. Come on, girl. People like you. You've got a following on here. Can't even look at them, though. Too busy. Too busy looking for lap and Papa's belly. Hi. Anyway, what I was saying. I did a series of reviews last year. My last three reviews, specifically for October of last year, I consider some of my worst reviews. We had gotten really sick after the wedding, which is when those were filmed, and I was really burnt out and tired with the season. This is why I tried to start this several months in advance. So I didn't do Resident Evil The Umbrella Conspiracy by S.D. Perry credit. It was a very lackluster review, and everyone seemed to hate it, including myself. Probably not as much as I hated it, because after watching it and editing it, I was really unhappy with the finished product. So I said this year, out of the three things that I wanted to review, that I reviewed last year, this is number one that I wanted to re-review. So what is the Umbrella Conspiracy? Yes, it is RE1, but with some additional continuity things in it. So we gotta give a little backstory as to how S.D. Perry even got this job. Who even is S.D. Perry? You've heard me talk about her before. She's Stephanie Perry, Steve Perry's daughter. She got into novelization and writer for hire stuff in the 90s. When Capcom was releasing Resident Evil, they wanted to do a novelization for it. At the time, I believe Metal Gear Solid had done one, which people seemed to really like. So it wasn't uncommon to have video game novelizations, although it was kind of a new thing. So they reached out to Steve Perry. He said he wasn't. I don't know if he said he wasn't available or he wasn't interested, but he gave them. He recommended his daughter take over, and she at this point had written Aliens Berserker, I believe. That was her solo one. She'd done the AVP stuff with Steve Perry as well as Female War. So she wasn't unheard of, but she was still kind of new at this point. This would be, let me look, when this one was published. I didn't look. 98. So she wrote this book, and she adds in a lot of character continuity. For instance, we get Jill's backstory that she's new to town. Her dad is a felon who was a thief for a living, and he taught her how to be a thief. But when he went back to prison, he said, "Why don't you go and get a real job?" And so she joined the Stars. We also get Chris Redfield's backstory of him being former Air Force. Same with Barry. Barry is former military. We get a little bit of Wesker, which I won't discuss so much. There's not a lot. We get Chief Iron shows up in this, which is he hasn't. He's a character in RE2. He's important to the RE2 story. So anyway, what is Umbrella Conspiracy about? The Stars Alpha team is dispatched to the Spencer estate because the Stars Bravo team has gone missing over there. When they get there, they're attacked by mutated dogs, and the survivors are forced to run into the Spencer estate, where they realize that the dead are walking around, along with other nasty things. But the Spencer estate is not just a crazy, weird mansion. It is also a testing facility for the Umbrella Corporation, which is Umbrella Pharmaceuticals, who are testing bioweapons there. Once they get in, the survivors, Wesker, Barry, Jill, and Chris are separated. So we really get two perspectives in this book. The two main characters are, of course, Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield. the two playable characters in the first game. Jill's stories often revolve around running into Barry and Barry helping her out with things. But Barry is being played by Wesker almost from the get-go. Wesker's a bad guy, which I kind of like that we don't get the big... It does something different from what the game does with the Albert Wesker being working for Umbrella the whole time and setting up the stars. I like that. Chris gets separated from all of them, and he runs into Rebecca Chambers. Rebecca Chambers is the last surviving member of Bravo Team. She's lost her weapons, but helps out Chris with puzzles. And this is where the game novelization kind of takes hold. We get a couple sequences from the game. For Chris, and Rebecca, we get the piano puzzle, which is nice. We, of course, get all the keys and stuff, which is fun, and it seems kind of organic in this. It works. And with Jill, we also get the ceiling collapsing puzzle that Barry helps her with, which is really fun. We also get some cut content for the original game. So when they remade RE1 in the 2000s, they of course updated the cutscenes to being in-game graphics, as I recall, rather than the goofy live-action cutscenes. But they also added in some other playable features, like the spider boss. You fight a giant spider in RE1 in the remake. We get an allusion to the spider. We also get the big plant, the plant puzzle, which is fun. We also get Tyrant. We get a lot of good stuff. Everything is represented pretty well in this, as well as like the notes and stuff you'd find throughout the mansion, like to give backstory to what happened in the Spencer estate. It's there. But at the same time, with all those like little things from the game, it doesn't bog it down, which is really nice. This is a very fast-paced book, and when I read this the first time, I read it in one sitting. This time I took my time because I wanted to make sure I got everything I wanted for this review, and I did it in 2 sessions. But you can find an audiobook online, several audiobooks, and they're typically about 5.5 hours for Umbrella Conspiracy. So, what would I rank Resident Evil Book 1, The Umbrella Conspiracy by S.D. Perry? Give it a solid 4.5 out of 5. It's very good and well worth your time to check out. This year, though, we aren't just stopping with this one. That's right, we're going to tackle the whole S.D. Perry series. So stay tuned, because this latter part of the month is going to be very Resident Evil heavy. So anyway, have a nice day.